Wherever you are right now, stop for a second and just look around. What if I told you that everything you see, every object you touch, is actually built upon a massive lie? Those glowing skyscrapers you watch from your window, that brand new car parked out front, the latest smartphone in your hand, and even those pieces of paper you carry in your wallet right now. None of these are products of real prosperity. They are each a sandcastle built upon a mountain of debt. Here is the bitter truth: we don't produce prosperity. We spend the labor of children who haven't even been born yet. We are mortgaging the lives of future generations today. For every single dollar circulating in the world, there is $3 of debt somewhere that someone must pay back. Look, this isn't just a statistic. This is a mathematical impossibility. If every creditor in the world showed up at the door today and said, "Give me my money," the system would collapse that very second. Because debt is far greater than the money that exists. We breathe inside this impossibility. So, how does this massive illusion work so flawlessly? Who owes whom, and why does this bottomless pit never fill up? Let's go back to that dark point where the story began. August 1971. U.S. President Richard Nixon went on television and played the biggest gamble in history. "We are suspending the dollar's convertibility to gold," he said. Until that moment, money had honor, it had gold. The equivalent of the dollar in your pocket stood in the cold vaults of Fort Knox. Nixon broke that bond and turned money into a matter of faith. They called it full faith and credit. In plain English, trust us, we'll pay somehow. Since that day, the world has been revolving around an empty promise, a hollow trust. The system actually works very simply, but in a very sinister way. The U.S. prints money by borrowing. With these unbacked papers, it buys your labor, your factory, your oil, and your technology. And you want to keep these dollars you receive in a safe harbor, so you go and buy U.S. Treasury bonds. So basically, this is what happens: you sell your goods to the U.S., you get the money, then you lend that money back to the U.S. saying, "Keep this for me and give me interest." And they take the money you lent them and buy more goods from you. This is the largest, most legal, and most flawless pyramid scheme history has ever seen. But every chain has a breaking point. No tree grows to the sky, and no system can be fed by debt forever. Debt, by its nature, is meant to be repaid. But today, global debt has exceeded $307 trillion. Do you know what the total production of the world is? Only $105 trillion. This means that if every single human being, every government, and every company in the world worked for an entire year without sleeping, without eating a single bite, just to pay off debt, we could only close 1/3 of it. What is the only way to pay the rest? Taking on more debt. Closing debt with debt. This is no different from pouring gasoline on a fire to put it out. So, why are we still standing? Because this is a massive game of musical chairs. As long as the music plays, everyone keeps dancing. Everyone knows that when the music stops, someone will be left without a chair. No one knows when the music will be cut, and more importantly, no one wants to be that person without a chair. That's why everyone is forced to keep playing. Let's talk about that famous immunity of the U.S. Their debt has surpassed $34 trillion, and even as we speak, it continues to increase by millions of dollars every second. Almost half of tax revenues go just to interest. Any normal country in this situation would have been shut down long ago. If Turkey can't pay its debt, the IMF comes and tightens the belt. If Argentina can't pay, it's wiped off the global markets. But the US has a magic wand that no one else has, the printing press. My friend, the US does not pay its debt. The US prints money. The power that owns the dollar releases more dollars into the market to cover its debt. And what does this lead to? To that inflation you complain about every day. But this isn't like a price hike at the local grocery store, this is a global operation. Since the dollar is the world's reserve currency, when they print money, they are actually stealing the value of your savings in the bank. What you call inflation is a tax collected without asking the public, without a signature. It's a mechanism that makes the rich richer, the debtors more profitable, and people like you, who save by scraping by, the victims. While your sweat and toil silently erode every year, the state's massive debt burden lightens at the same rate. The borrowers win, the savers lose. It's that simple, and that unfair. So, where will this order go? How much longer will the world submit to this siege? The answer is clear, until there is no other choice. The euro is struggling with its own internal problems, the yuan is trapped under China's strict rules. Gold is cumbersome, not suitable for daily trade. The dollar was at the top not because it was the best, but because it was the only option. But the era is changing now. There are deep cracks in that supposedly unshakable wall. India and the UAE have started bartering in their own local currencies. Russia and China have ripped the dollar out of their systems. Brazil and Argentina have removed the dollar from their trade. These alone might not bring down the system, but each one chips away a splinter from the dollar's throne. Look, the barter economy is returning, but this time armed with technology. In ancient times, you would give wheat and get cloth. Now, a software going from India is exchanged for oil, and there is no need for the dollar's approval in between. This means a new area of freedom that the dollar cannot control, cannot track, and cannot embargo. Why do you think the world's largest central banks are frantically collecting gold? Russia, China, Turkey, India, they are all piling up gold at record levels. Because gold is no country's debt. There is no president's signature, no bank's promise on it. Gold does not bow to politics, embargoes, or printing presses. Russia's dollar reserves were frozen with a single click, but no one could go and destroy those gold bars. This was a survival lesson for all nations. And now, that ancient gold is merging with the speed of the blockchain. With digital gold certificates, you can send gold gram by gram to the other side of the world in seconds. This means combining the solidity of gold with the speed of the dollar. If the world fully transitions. Get this through your head once and for all, this system isn't broken. This system is working exactly as it was designed, ticking like a clock. Money is not a store of value, it is a debt certificate. The paper in your pocket is proof that this system owes you. But the system will never pay you that debt. Because for the system to breathe, it needs constant new debt. This is a massive wheel, and the moment it stops, it is heavy enough to crush us all. We said this is a pyramid scheme, those at the top know when the music will stop. They have already anchored themselves to gold, to land, to real assets. What about you? Which link in this chain are you? Have you ever planned where you will fall when the chain breaks? History teaches us only one thing: no order lasts forever. From the ruins of 1929, modern states emerged. From the collapse of 2008, the crypto world was born. The next decade could be the end of finance as we know it. Is this a disaster or a salvation? That depends on what you understand today. Debt is an invisible siege. A wall that surrounds you, tightens your breath, but whose presence you only feel when you are drowning. We don't see this wall because we've grown accustomed to it. But when the wall collapses on you, it will be too late to look for a way out. The future is heading toward a digital world where labor is bartered for labor, goods for goods, and intermediaries are removed. This is not a step backward, it is a liberation operation at the peak of technology. Banknotes will be replaced by energy, data, and gold-based digital assets. Now I ask you, do you still trust that piece of paper in your pocket so much? Or have you realized that it is just a debt certificate that will one day lose its validity? Because if you don't notice, the system will notice you. And when the system notices you, you usually have no place left to run. The world is changing. The debt crisis is just the footsteps of this change. It will be painful, it will be hard, but a new order will be born. Where you stand in that order depends on which reality you wake up to today. There are no secrets. There is the system. The world changes. Discipline does not.